Welcome to Freedom Thoughts. For a long time, I've been contemplating how I wanted to find a way to share conservative, thoughtful, and moderate political and public policy opinions. And I've decided to start this YouTube channel so I can share these thoughts with you and start some good thinking on the part of my listeners and myself. Before I really get into the topic of today's discussion, which, as you probably saw from the title, is going to be the Tara Reade allegations against Joe Biden. Now, my background really originally started getting into public policy and politics when I was in high school. I joined a public policy speech and debate organization, and throughout that, I really developed a thoughtful and logical way of thinking and developed a lot of research skills that really fostered a love of learning about these type of issues. In public policy and debate, I debated topics like arms sale policy, spying on our own citizens, and federal student aid. Now, in college, I batted around the idea for a while of maybe doing political science or public policy or something along those lines. However, ultimately, I decided to major in accounting, become a CPA, and simply go into business. Now, that changed a little bit because I'm not a CPA. I did finish majoring in accounting, but now I work in the banking industry as a project manager who focuses on process improvement and Six Sigma techniques in the banking industry. That's some of my background, and as these episodes continue on, as I do more and more of them, I'm sure we'll all get to know each other better, but that's just a little bit of my background. Now, starting off, I do want to get into the Tara Reade allegations. And as you may suggest from the title of the channel, is Freedom Thoughts. I want us to have free and open thinking about every issue. Now, as you may have picked up on this, I would consider myself a conservative. That's just tends to be the way I gravitate. However, that does not mean at all that on every single take I'm always with the Republican Party or Democrat Party. I want us to try as much as possible in this day and age to look through as clear a lens as possible. I know that's very difficult, but we're going to try and do that here today. Because Freedom Thoughts, I want to foster free thinking that furthers the freedom of this great nation. So into the Tara Reade allegations. Now, I'm sure many of you have had your Facebook feed flooded with gaffe videos from Joe Biden and videos of him touching children and touching other women and everything like that. But I don't think in some respects we were necessarily expecting to have a sexual assault allegation pop up before the election occurred. Now, with Donald Trump, it seemed like every week there was something new along these lines. But we probably didn't expect it quite as much of Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden went on MSNBC and basically said that Tara Reade's allegations against him were groundless. That basically they were groundless allegations with no real evidence behind them. Now, on its face, obviously we would expect him to say they're false. However, there is a slight complication with this. Him saying it's false ignites another issue. Now, back in the Justice Kavanaugh hearing, there was this big push among the Me Too movement called Believe Women. So it kind of cycled from Me Too to Believe Women, and now it feels like it's kind of a Believe All Women. Now, at the time of the Kavanaugh hearing, Joe Biden was prominent, and he kind of hopped on the political bandwagon of the left on this and said we should believe all women. Obviously, that creates a very sticky situation for Joe Biden because now his own house has fallen upon himself, and now it's created an issue. I want to defend Joe Biden from some respects in this issue because consider in that article and in the interview, he said he denied the claim, but that all the facts should be reviewed and examined to see if they have any truth. On its face, and I still would continue to say this, we need to go to bat for Joe Biden on this, is that we do need to examine everything. And I'm sorry, Joe Biden, no, we can't believe all women. Because I want to examine this claim right now that we need to believe all women. And where exactly does this come from? Now, consider this. Do we really think that every woman, who makes a claim should be believed? If we're operating from that premise, then we are operating under the premise that we live in a perfect utopia. where no woman has wrong intentions. We all know we don't live in a perfect universe, so there's a major logical disconnect between these claims. I wholeheartedly agree with Joe Biden that we need to examine every claim and not just believe women for no apparent reason at all. However, if we do examine it and find truth, then at that point we need to push forward in the Harvey Weinstein case, for example, and condemn it and have convictions. That's what we need to be doing. Examining is key, but the problem is when you're like Joe Biden and you hop on these political bandwagons, you create problems for yourself. And that's what we're seeing here. He could have not had this issue at all if he wouldn't have hopped on the Me Too, Believe All Women bandwagon. So what is the left doing with this allegation? Because if you consider this, obviously with Trump, they have plenty of ammunition. Trump's been bragging about all types of things with the Billy Bush bus and everything like that. We've had every type of allegation almost imaginable against President Donald Trump. So that's been a major issue. However, what is the party of the Me Too movement going to do with this allegation? And we've more or less gotten our answer. Now, I'd like to read from an article from the Washington Post on this. And they basically decided that the majority, through a poll, this was on a poll released from Monmouth University this past Wednesday, and it polled all the different political parties and how they were going to respond to the allegations, and basically whether or not they believed Tara Reade was actually stating the truth. Now, among all of the sample size, 37% said it was probably true, the allegations. 32% said probably not true. 31% said they didn't know. And this moves into Republicans, with 50% of Republicans saying probably true. As you imagine, Republicans are more likely to believe it. Independents said it 43% likely to be true. And Democrats said 20% probably true. So even among Democrats, you are seeing at least 20% of them saying that they do believe the allegations. That has to be some level of a concern for the Democratic Party. Because one of the biggest things you can fight against Donald Trump is that we're presenting a candidate that is not besmudged with all the sexual assault allegations that you have had. Now, it clearly seems that they don't even have that anymore. Because this is just my opinion on the future election here in 2020, is that I really don't think Biden has a chance. And we'll get into that later, of course. But I also want to get into another interesting element of this. Beyond just what this means for the election, kind of where the rubber meets the road, what is the left actually saying about the allegations now that it's against kind of one of their own, their representative, per se? Now, Lisa Bloom, who is the daughter of prominent women's rights attorney Gloria Allred, recently made a statement that I found to be extremely interesting. Now, here's what she ended up saying about the Tara Reade allegations. I believe you, Tara Reade. You have people who remember you, who told them about this decades ago. We know he is handsy. You're not asking for dollars. You've obviously struggled mightily with this. I still have to fight Trump, so I will support Joe. But I believe you, and I'm sorry. This is insane. Lisa Bloom herself is also a prominent women's rights attorney as well. This is just absolutely unbelievable. Sorry but not sorry is really what we're seeing from that. And this is really what's going to happen with the left. This is going to be a big problem for them, and it might make them lose some of their voter base that really just realizing that Joe Biden's just not that fit to be president. But to have someone like this basically say, I believe you, but... that just seems sort of insane to me, that the left is putting forward this whole claim that we need to actually fight for women's rights and believe them and fight for them. But in this case, that believing and fighting for them doesn't even matter, because we're still going to support the perpetrator. So this is just the enormous hypocrisy of the left on this issue. So overall, on the Tara Reade issue, I think as it goes forward with the elections, as we talked about a little bit, I don't think it really is going to cause a huge amount of damage, because I think, like Lisa Bloom, I think that the majority of Democrats are still going to back Joe Biden. I don't think this really erodes his core support here, because at this point, we all know from the left side perspective, they'll do anything to get Donald Trump out of office, and that includes apparently throwing out women's rights as well. So that's the kind of the take here, is that it won't really cause a major impact. And for Trump, we already know that he has these sexual assault allegations, and that large numbers of voters on the Republican side were able to look past that. So this is not a major weapon. Trump really can't use this as a major weapon against Joe Biden either, because he's far more dirt on his hands than Joe Biden. So that kind of concludes what we're going to be talking about for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation we've had, and if you guys have any thoughts or anything like that, please drop them in the comments, and if you like the content, like and subscribe. The next video I want to discuss is the censorship that YouTube and Google and some of these other social media sites are putting on us, and whether or not those are a good idea in the age of coronavirus that we're dealing with here, and what that means for our individual rights and privacy. Thanks, and have a great night.